Sal Paolantonio here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN and the free 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Well, Sal Pal, it is official. Late last night, Doug Pederson, pen to paper, he is back. He took the year off. That was kind of something that he wanted to recharge the battery. He interviewed a bunch of places, and late last night, Doug Pederson is back in Jacksonville. And it feels a lot like the situation he took over in Philly. He's replacing a college coach in a place that just kind of went off the rails. He's got a young quarterback here. So it's a very interesting spot for Doug.
You're right. Dysfunctional team coming off college quarterback who couldn't get it done, college coach who couldn't get it done. And he's got a young quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, not unlike Carson Wentz. Trevor Lawrence won a national title as, I do believe, a true freshman at Clemson. So that's a pretty good pedigree. And he was the consensus number one overall pick. And Urban Meyer just basically, drove him into a ditch. And so it's a Doug Pederson rescue job. It is a good fit, I believe, for both. I think they could have gone with Byron Leftwich and had just as much success. But what they get with Pederson, obviously, is the experience and the Super Bowl trophy under his belt. And it's great for Doug. He moved to Florida. His family has a lot of Southern roots. He likes it there. And, he gets to compete against Frank Reich twice a year, and that'll be interesting. And Carson Wentz, that'll be definitely interesting. Yeah. And I do believe they got the Birds on their schedule this year.
The game is in Philadelphia. They will play. Jacksonville is in Philly this year, so Doug will be here. The Eagles.
Oh man, I want that to be opening day.
All right. Well, maybe you never know. That could be something that they try to set up. I don't know how they do the schedule. They try to pick things like that out. Maybe they will. But you're right. Frank Reich twice. Carson Wentz. They'll face the Colts twice. So let me ask you about this.
I'm telling you right now, Mike Gill, that smells like opening day. Right. Non-divisional game. Lot of firepower there. That'll be a good opening day matchup for Doug Pederson to go against the Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field. I'm going to tell you right now, pencil that in. I'm going to try to make that happen.
Has a coach ever coached in a stadium where he has a statue of himself outside as an opposing coach? Has that ever happened?
I do not believe that is the case. I think this would be a first.
Sal, he interviewed for a couple of jobs. Why do we think that he wasn't a big candidate? It's, a Super Bowl coach who wanted to get back in. His name was not really catching a lot of buzz. And then last night late, hey, Jacksonville, why do you think he wasn't a top candidate around the league?
Well, that's an interesting question, the way you put that, Mike, because when you look at the jobs that were opened up, what's the best job right now? You have a young quarterback. All the expectations, are now in the past. You can't go anywhere but up. They have the number one overall pick. They have $87 million under the cap. I mean, and personally, you don't have any income tax in Florida. You already live there. Why wouldn't you go there? I mean, is it better than a Miami Dolphins? Absolutely. The Dolphins, made the playoffs. We're close to the last couple of years. They've improved under Brian Flores, and I don't think Tua is better than Trevor Lawrence, so that's not better. New Orleans, they don't have a succession plan at quarterback. Houston's a mess. The Deshaun Watson situation is unresolved. Minnesota, you got an aging quarterback in Kirk Cousins. Chicago, I don't see that. No way. That's always been a dysfunctional place. So I think Jacksonville's a pretty good situation for Doug, and could be one of the top jobs open in the NFL right now when you put everything together. Now I realize they've been misfits, laughingstock for years. Okay, so now you get a chance to you go from 3 wins to 6 wins. Bang! Wow.
Well,
okay.
I think, Sal, we just saw it. If you have that quarterback, and people thought Trevor Lawrence was that guy, that you can go from 2 to 4 to a Super Bowl if you have the right guy at that position and the right coach. I mean, that's the thing.
Look at Cincinnati. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I definitely think it's going to be interesting. And the whole thing is, look, Doug wins the Super Bowl. Shortly thereafter, he's fired after a 4-win year. Was it that this guy just did not know how to coach anymore, or does he have something to prove? So I think a lot of people are still very interested to see how he does getting the chance to do this again after sitting the year out. Now, closer to home here, Sal.
Let's compare it to the Philly situation since you're bringing up the Eagles.
Yeah.
Is Trevor Lawrence a better fit in the NFL than Jalen Hurts? And do Pederson and Trevor Lawrence turn it around quickly enough that they can, leapfrog over Sirianni and Jalen Hurts? So, obviously, the NFC East has the Cowboys, the AFC South has the Colts, and the Titans. And if the Titans get Aaron Rodgers, that's going to be rough. That's going to be real rough.
Mm-hmm.
There's rumors out there Rodgers bought some property in the Nashville area, blah, blah, blah. The whole Rodgers situation is unresolved. So, listen, Doug did not like the way it ended. I know him very well. He did not like the way it ended in Philly. And obviously, he has something to prove for sure. No question. And he's got the tools in the toolbox now. He's got to go out and do it. Now, no excuses. Number one pick, $87 million under the cap, franchise quarterback. It's been handed to him, Mike Gill. It's been put right in his lap, man.
Yeah, no, I agree that him getting the quarterback and getting to work with the quarterback right off the bat definitely gives him the opportunity to do what he did in Philadelphia, get a team, turn it back around, and get it on the right path pretty quick. So we'll see if Jacksonville, for the first time, Shad Khan, he's been there, 11 years? I don't think they've won more than 5 games but one time. It's been a rough go.
Mike, they've lost 110 games in 11 years.
It's unbelievable. All right, Doug Pederson.
Mike, 110 in 11 years.
It's unfathomable to think that that's continuously. They made it to an AFC Championship game out of the blue 5 years ago, and it's been a disaster since. They just cannot get this thing going. But they got a guy who's got some credibility now, so that's definitely puts them on the right path. As for the right path, the Eagles' offseason is here. Howie Roseman, they are down in Mobile today and watching the Senior Bowl this weekend, and we know how big of a draft this is. But the free agency period starts first, and I guess I'll ask you, Sal, where do you think they should target in free agency as opposed to the draft? Is there a specific area that Howie should be looking for in this free agent class?
I think the number one thing that they should do is get themselves some savvy defensive players. And I think in free agency, you can do that. You can take veteran free agent players and you can put them on your team and they can produce. Darius Slay is a good example of that, and they've had some examples of that in the past. You want to build in the draft on your offensive and defensive lines. And I think Howie Roseman, if you want to say there's one example of where he has really succeeded, is in picking the right players. Brandon Graham, Lane Johnson, even Jordan Mailata. You go down a list, Jason Kelsey. He's had a hand in picking these players. They've proven. Fletcher Cox, you can go down a list. Derek Barnett's was a pretty good pick. So, that's where I focus on the draft because, you want to get them when they're really young and strong and full of energy and can dominate. So I think that's it. But here's what I want. I'm going to scream about this for the next 5 months. I want a big, tall, fast, strong wide receiver. I want somebody who can get off the line of scrimmage and make his own shot. You know how we say in basketball, can he make his own shot, get open on his own and make his own shot?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have to go through 5 screens to get there. He doesn't have to be in motion. He doesn't have to have formation variation. You don't have to scheme him up. He's going to scheme you up. I want that guy.
And that is the guy you're saying in free agency or the draft?
Either way.
Okay. Well, because this is a good free agent wide receiver class. There's at least 4 or 5 guys that I would have interest in. If Howie brought one of those guys in March 16th and said, hey, I got one of these guys, I think a lot of fans would be pretty happy with Mike Williams or obviously Devontae Adams. I don't know that you're going to get that level of guy. Allen Robinson's available. So there's some intriguing guys, and I agree. I think getting a bigger veteran player across from Smith will really help him out.
Yeah, Mike, listen, go back to what Troy Aikman said after that Dallas game. He said, I'm tired of hearing about scheming up your wide receivers to get them open or scheming up your pass game in order to make it effective or productive. Just give me a guy who can win one-on-one and get open and then catch the football in traffic.
Yeah.
Well,
they don't have that guy.
You got to have.
Yeah.
They don't have that guy, Mike.
No.
Mike, when was the last time they had that guy? I can tell you. He was wearing number 81.
Oh, yeah, that was, we're going almost 20 years. Can you believe that was almost 20 years ago now?
Michael, you got to have that guy.
Yeah.
You got to have it. Look at the Bengals. They got 5 guys who can get open.
Yeah, well, they've invested heavily, and here's the big thing, Sal. They've invested heavily and hit on those guys. I mean, Boyd they hit on,
Chase,
Higgins
Boyd,
they hit on,
Higgins.
right?
Yeah, C.J. Uzama. Come on, you can go down the list, Mike.
Yeah. Oh, there's no question. Hey, look, when they drafted Chase, well, he's been great. But we said, how did you neglect the offensive line position after the guy tore his ACL? You got to protect the guy, but that guy's so good that you got to give him a pass on it. They got to fix that line for that kid, though.
Yeah, they do. But Mike, you look at the 2 Super Bowl teams. Cooper Kupp. You don't have to scheme him open.
No.
Look at Odell Beckham Jr. You have to scheme him open.
No question.
I mean, come on. Even that tight end, they don't scheme him open. He gets open.
Well, those two teams. I'll tell you what. We talk about this Super Bowl, and I know that we got another week for this. But just the first thought I have is that the defensive line of the Rams against the offensive line of the Bengals, that might be the biggest mismatch we have. That might be similar to what happened last year.
Right. When you just saw the Tampa Bay Bucks just blow up Kansas City, and Mahomes was on the run. I mean, he ran more laterally in that game than any quarterback in NFL history. Mm-hmm. And they only had 5 guys protecting him most of the game. Most offensive snaps with 5-man protection in the history of the Super Bowl, and lost the game. And I tell you what, Zach Taylor does the same thing, they'll lose the game again. They'll lose the game again.
Yeah. So last week you're in Kansas City, and you watched it happen. I mean, could you feel that the Bengals, they were down early, and the social media world was saying, man, this is over. They're buried. Could you feel the game switch at halftime? Did you sense it?
No question. I was in the tunnel, and you could just tell, the Bengals players saying, okay, we got him. We got him. We got it now. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. When Eli Apple made that play on Tyreek Hill in the flat on the left side, prevented him from getting in the end zone, they got no points. Huge momentum changer. Yeah. 21-3, Mike.
Oh, you could
18-point lead, 21-3, 18-point lead. Do you know that in the 2021 season, regular season and playoffs, teams that led by 18 points or more were 115-0?
No, geez, did not know that.
115-0, Mike. 115-0.
I will ask you then. I mean, what does this say? Like, Andy's been on the wrong side of he got that Super Bowl, but the fact that he's been on the wrong side of so many of these, does that blemish at all?
It does in my mind. As you know, I'm one of the 49 voters in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
He's lost 6 championship games, most of any coach in history. Lost 4 of them at home. All 4 of those at home, he was favored. Also, most in the NFL history. Mike, I'm sorry. It's part of the legacy.
Oh, I agree. And then I had this conversation earlier in the week. It's part of the legacy. And it just shows how flawed that position is in the NFL because he's one of the best, even with the losses, but it just shows how hard it is to find someone who's good at doing that job.
Well, for sure, but it also shows you that when you get to that level, everything is really, really, it's concentrated. It takes a lot of talent. You can't make mistakes. How would I phrase this? Hey, the reason why they picked Neil Armstrong is because he was the best pilot in American test pilot history. They picked him because they thought, okay, we at some point may have to actually land the lunar module on the moon. Okay? And anybody who knows the recent history, because we just celebrated the 50th anniversary, knows that the guy was running out of gas and he had to pick a different crater and he had to take the controls and land the lunar module. Exactly what they expected could happen. And in that contingency, they needed that guy. So it's not dissimilar to what you would get in any situation at the particular level. You need that guy who can land the lunar module, who can bring it home and win the Super Bowl. You need Adam Vinatieri who can hit it, with 5 seconds left. You need somebody who's got that level of talent, ice in their veins, can deliver. You need Joe Montana. You need Tom Brady. You need Michael Jordan. If you want to get to that final step where you put the ring on, you need that guy, and not everybody's cut out for it. And Andy Reid has proven at an historic level that many times he's not.
Almost every time except for one, but he does have the one. Good for him, because if he didn't get that one, it could be a lot different narrative for him. And by the way, you're talking about a guy landing the plane. There's only one that's ever done it here, Doug Pederson.
Yeah,
that's
he
it.
Landed the plane. He definitely did. Well, I'm going to say Nick Foles landed the plane. Listen, love Doug, but I don't think he wins the Super Bowl without Nick Foles. I just don't. I just don't, Mike. I've always felt that.
Well, and that's what he's out.
There was a certain magic in Nick Foles' right arm that day, and you look at the numbers that Tom Brady put up. Yeah, there's a reason why Tom Brady it still gnaws at him, and that after that game, he did not want to shake Nick Foles' hand because he's like, okay, where did this magic come from? Like, he was probably just. I mean, there's no excuse for what he did. I still believe it'll be a stain on Tom Brady's record that he didn't shake Nick Foles' hand. But boy, oh boy, if I'm on the other side, I'm thinking, okay, I just set a record in the Super Bowl, and Nick Foles, a backup quarterback, comes out here and just pulls out a magic wand. I do believe, there's no doubt in my mind, that nobody else would have won that Super Bowl but Nick. Nobody.
Sal Pal, so what are you going to do with no football this weekend?
Hey, baby, I'm on my way to L.A. Travel issues, as usual, snowstorm here and there. We'll make it. I'll see you. I'll call you next week from L.A., brother.
All right, Sal Pal. That's Johnny G and the Burger Realty team giving it to us a Sal Pal Friday. A little early today, but Sal Pal, safe travels, man.
Hey, thanks to Johnny G and the Griner team at Burger Realty in Ocean City for supporting us. And we'll do a live report from Super Bowl 56 in La La Land on the Sports Bash next Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. How's that now?
Booked it. I got it written down right here. Sal Pal, 3 o'clock next Friday.
I mean, you agree with me about Nick Foles. They don't win the Super Bowl without that.
It's an all-encompassing thing. You're right. I mean, I think after that, a lot of people debated, should they have kept Nick or gone to Carson? They elected to stick with Carson, and things didn't go as well. Who knows what would have happened if they stuck with Nick? I don't know that they would have. Over a 16-game regular season, I don't know that Nick, week in and week out, would have given them the best chance to win week in and week out. But for that game, he was the best guy to have that day.
Well, got to have it. Got to land the plane. Got to land the lunar module, Michael. Somebody's got to do it.
All right, man. Well, I hope your plane lands nicely in LAX.
Knock on wood on that one. Yeah, nice segue. I love it.
Take care.
Well, we'll pray to the baby Jesus on that, Michael. All right, brother.
Sal Paolantonio, ESPN senior national correspondent. I'm Mike Gill.